Hello, everyone, and welcome to Valpo University's stream of our League of Legends esports game today against Trine University. It is a one series, 3 games per series, and my name is Dikembe. I'm here with my co-host as well.
Hi, I'm Mike.
Yep. And we are coming in with this game. Trine University is 5-3 right now. Valpo University is 6-2. So pretty close matchup, honestly. I mean, looking at the OPs right now, Trine University really, Magic Gryphon is their key player in this game. Their support player, he's their highest elo. And a lot of the games that they've played, they have hyper carried with them. And as we're going to see right now with Valpo Esports' bans, they're going to start banning out those supports. They really don't want him to have that advantage. I would not be surprised here if we do see a 5-man ban on Magic Gryphon because I feel like Valpo is very confident playing into Trine's roster that they have, but they are not confident about that support because he is nasty. Right? I mean, I can't talk about it enough. Really, numbers don't lie, right? So all the games that they have won, he has popped off. So
Yeah, I mean, a five-man band would be saying something
yep,
for sure. We're seeing the first three here, obviously, all towards him.
yep.
These supports are all really, really strong. Karma especially can deal out that damage, right?
Yep. So we've seen, especially in the past couple of games, the karma go off pretty hard. Even Seraphine as well. So obviously they want to focus the first 3 bans against probably their most dangerous assets at support. He plays like 6 that he can really rotate through, so they're not worried about that. But not like completely shutting him out, but they are gonna try and give him the picks that they want, right? And that's with the 3 ban that we have here. Karma probably is the most dangerous one, I'd say, and they were saving it for the 3rd ban, just in case Trine wanted to counter with any other bans. Um, but
Yep.
they're also probably going to give the counter pick to their support as well. As we see here, Valpo Esports and Trine both electing to draft their ADCs in the first and second rounds. Misfortune, still strong as ever. Really hasn't had much change in these upcoming patches. Caitlyn also very strong though into the Misfortune. See, with Caitlyn's passive range that she has, with kind of the poke that she offers, does more damage than Misfortune E with the speed boost that Misfortune gives. Caitlyn can get away really fast from that kill zone that Misfortune's Q has. And I think it's a really good pick for Trine. It looks like they're drafting well, but they did draft their mid laner with that Syndra first pick. Right now in this patch, I'd say the Syndra is a very strong blind pick because the counters that she has are very team oriented, right? You are not going to win, especially right now we're talking about the Swain, unless you have some amazing game. You're not going to win that lane as Swain against Syndra, but you will win that outside game. You will win those roaming supports, those roaming objectives.
Yep.
So,
And going into the Syndra here, we're seeing that Valpo actually, mix up here. This is actually going to be a Silas pick, they say.
oh, okay, yep. In that case, it's a lot more contested of a lane, I'd say. Um, it's gonna be up to Justin MF Jakimbo here if he can get in that Syndra's face because obviously Syndra wants to play around her Q, around her W, that stun range that she has, and that knockback because the more people you can stick away from you, the more chip you can do, the more people you can throw on, right? That's kind of how she combos. So Silas is gonna, I mean, as MF Jakimbo, you're gonna have to be smart on how you E around.
And I mean, it's not always guaranteed that that's going to be Jakimbo's pick. We have seen that Silas flex up
Yep.
top for Dreadful before, so it does give them a little bit of flexibility there.
Yep. That's especially important going into Trine's ban picks here because they are trying to ban out these junglers now. I mean, I guess they don't know if it is. Oh, actually, could we get a check on the league?
Yeah,
Because with Valpo Esports picking Maokai, I don't. Huh. I don't know. I can't really say what Bantrine was looking for with the Hecarim pick. Knowing that Maokai was already picked because Maokai really has only been played jungle
I
on
mean,
Valpo
unless the
Esports' side.
mix-up was that Silas is instead of Maokai, but I would have thought that they definitely would have picked
I
Maokai based on, the strength of Maokai right now.
I think that would I think that would make more sense because I like the Swain pickup into Syndra better. I feel like unless Silas wins those early fights, which is very dependent, you are not going to find Silas outscaling Syndra with the new Syndra patch that she has in her new passive. Because her new passive late game gives her R and execute, which is insanely strong, even against Silas, who can't use that execute because he doesn't have the passive himself. Even if he steals the ult, um, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think this pick right here will give us a little more direction onto whether we actually have the Maokai or the Swain in this game
and
here.
it looks like we'll have a volley bear. So we haven't seen volley bear picked for Valpo Esports really this season. Outside of
I think I remember Nolan playing it in one
mhm.
matchup.
Yeah,
So,
I don't remember it going well, but
yeah.
I mean not to doubt anybody here. Trust me, I have faith in my team, and obviously they are going with picks here. So it definitely was the Maokai is actually a Silas because that means that they're looking for the Swain support, which makes sense. I mean, Swain support going into Caitlyn Tom Kench. Tom Kench is going to want to dive in on you. Swain needs something that's able to pull, restore that health. That's his E and his W, right? And taking a little bit of a tankier guy, even if he is ranged, right? Taking that tank will force Caitlyn to kind of redirect from Misfortune, and Misfortune has enough damage she can rock. Um,
But we've got an interesting pick here on Trine's side.
Hey, with bantering, picking the Kled. Um, honestly, I like it. I like this pick. You know, a lot of the times I like to laugh about different, like, oh, they picked Aurelion Sol. Oh, they picked Rise, right? Kled is a sleeper agent, I feel like. He's a sleeper champion because Kled is very, very strong against burst type champs, right? And kind of just overall sustain because his passive being able really to gain like half his health bar back off of a rage cooldown. Um, Now this matchup of Shen into Kled, if I'm not mistaken, right, Shen was drafted first, which means that we would have a Silas mid, Shen top, Swain support. Um, Shen top, I do know that Dreadful likes to play this Shen top. He's been waiting kind of for an opportunity to play this in one of our matches here. They've just really been looking for like a good team chance to pick this. So I think this gave him the opportunity now. It's a good blind pick, especially if we consider the bans that they had underneath. I know that the Aatrox was banned. I know that we had like excuse me, we had another Hecarim ban. We had the Camille ban as well. The Wukong's gone. Seeing these kind of picks are important because that opens up Shen picks. We may not see, even if it's not coming from Valpo Esports' side, just those picks being taken allow him to pick this Shen, but Trine did, I feel like, get the upper half with this Kled pick. Um, I feel like, although Bantrine's top laner does play Kled a lot, so obviously Dreadful knows this going into this pick, so he knows he probably wanted to pick this Shen, but you have to be worried about, okay, how is he going to play this early game? The most dangerous part is Kled can hit 3 and start chipping you really, really fast. Obviously, he's going to start hitting power levels on 4, 5, and 6, but that 1, 2, and 3, he's not going to do anything 1. He literally can't do anything. His 2, maybe he can start CSing a little bit better, but once he hits 3 and he gets that combined dash that you can dash through, dash back, then you can grapple on, then you can increase your attack speed. His burst potential becomes really strong. So taking this Shen with the sword, right, with the taunt that you have, it's really good for interrupting Kled sequences. So I think he does know this taking this pick, but we're gonna have to see really how it plans out because Shen and Kled are both very, very good at joining team fights. I mean, for the viewers that don't know, Kled R, we haven't really talked about much on this stream. If you ever hear loud trumpets happening during this game, that means that Kled activated his R. It's almost like Sion R, where you have the massive scream and he starts running. Kled is able to target someone and create a speed path for him and his teammates towards that person, and then he's allowed to jump on them, do extra damage, right? So Kled can single targets out and he lets his team
I
back
mean,
up on him.
for any of our Overwatch fans in chat, it's kind of like a little bit of a Kiriko alt now.
Pretty much. It literally it is a Kiriko ult, maybe without the attack speed. But he's able to target someone out, go in. But I think where this matchup gets interesting here is it's like, alright, Shen is playing with 2 teleports now. I mean, we're gonna see if he takes a different summoner other than teleport, obviously, because of Shen R is a little bit of a teleport in itself. But if he can recognize who Kled is going for, it's really gonna be, alright, we have to either bait the Shen ult out, or if we don't bait the Shen ult, we have to know we can do damage over it, or else he's gonna hop in. Um, Big thing for these top laners is going to be that team support. because their lane's going to be interesting enough. They're going to be fighting. They're going to be scrappy. I feel like it's already going to happen because these are two very scrappy champs. They like to just punch each other. But with their team fights, it's going to be coordination because calling out, hey, like I'm targeting this guy. Let's go, let's go, let's go for Kled. And then Shen going, hey, this person's targeted. Like I'm hopping in. Like let's surround this guy, right? These kind of things are important.
And I mean, a huge part of that team support that we talked about, as we're actually seeing here, it was the Maokai that was in the game.
Wow. Okay. We got a Maokai support. Okay. That changes up a little bit. I mean, I was talking about earlier how we want a tankier support to go into that
Yes.
Tom Kenji Caitlyn, right? Maokai serves that. I mean, now he's just melee. I mean, that's the only really thing that changes because Maokai passive gives him a heal every certain amount of seconds, and that seconds are reduced by the damage that you take and deal. So let's say like Tom Kench goes and slaps you with his tongue, right? There's a second off of that timer. So the more that he can sit in there and the more he can punch people, the more he heals himself. So it's a great front line to give Miss Fortune, especially into this Caitlyn. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I think it is not a pick that I've seen before. I know I'd heard a little bit of talk about how flexible this Maokai was, how he could pretty much go anywhere but ADC
yep.
and be okay, but support is the one role I don't think I've actually seen a game be
hmm
played out with Maokai, so it will be very interesting.
We definitely have not seen Maokai support in our league as of right now, but we have seen Steamroller 14 love to just play characters. I mean, we've seen it. We saw the Sasas, which is support Nasus, right? We've seen all the funny like kind of combos that he has. A lot of the times his Taric is banned out, so he can't play as like good champs, but we know that he likes to get in people's faces. Talking to Steamroller 14 himself, he hates playing a boring game. He does not like playing boring games, and kind of that's the big like emphasis here is that with Maokai, I mean, it's a one press route, right? He presses W, he teleports to someone and roots them. Uh, I think what we're gonna have to watch out for here is that with Tom Kench being able to dive, he's Steamroller 14 with this Maokai is gonna have to play really, really smart around his E, around those little bombs that you can throw in bushes, right? If you play smart around that, that limits the amount of like area space that Tom Kench has to dive at you because he's going to be forced to get back. If you know that he's coming to a certain area, Maokai can use his Q to displace people. It's it's a dynamic that I don't think we've seen, so I'm interested to see how it plays out. But I like on paper, this sounds like a good fighting bot lane.
I
Um,
mean, with it being an uncommon pick, do you think it's something that they pulled out to say, we know their support is so good, so why don't we just throw something at him that, he hasn't seen before,
mhm.
try to get him out of his comfort zone with a little bit of a weird support pick?
I think that might be part of this because looking at like the past match history of Magic Gryphon, I mean obviously there's skills of playing against champions, but a lot of the skills are just in general playing League, right? So he's going to adapt this game, but like you said, throwing something at him like a Maokai support is somewhat smart because it gives you a different angle that he's going to be forced to fight from, and even I mean even if he knows how to fight around it, you have to communicate that to your ADC, right? Gain the upper advantage by just taking someone that's a little bit off kilter, it's a big part of the ADC not only to just position around your support, but position around the other team's support. You're obviously not going to sit in the middle of wave where an like a splash support, like maybe we're playing support Karthus. You're not going to sit in the middle of the wave where Karthus can easily hit you. But then if you're playing like a root guy like Nautilus, you're not going to sit outside of the wave. So with Maokai being a point and click with the displacement that his Q gives, you kind of have to think like, okay, do I play more range here? Do I step up on him? Right? Do we force and engage with Tom Kench? Um, these kind of things are going to be reliant on just communication of that team. So I think it'll be interesting. I mean, definitely not a bad pick. The downside that Valpo has here is that if they do not get an early lead in this game, Trine University's scale will kill them. Um,
I mean, one interesting thing that I wanted to touch on, I guess, sorry, before we get into
oh,
the
you got it.
scaling,
Yeah.
is,
No.
you talked about how Magic Gryphon, the support for Trine, likes to put down a lot of damage, likes to kind of be that carry, but Tom
hmm
Kench really isn't like a damage heavy champion. It's
Yep.
more of a tanky champion.
I
So do you think that plays into Valpo's favor, I guess, that he can't do as much damage here?
I don't I don't think that it will play into Valpo's favor so much as it will just change how he plays. I think the idea behind Magic Gryphon right now is that he's not going because we banned out the like Seraphine, we banned the Karma, right? Kind of the heavier damage supports. Obviously, you're not going to play like a brand or anything that's off meta just because it does damage, but playing this Tom Kench, um, I mean, you're gonna trust the higher elo player to take the fights, right? Tom Kench is an engage. Even if he's not going to do the damage, he's going to show, hey, attack this guy. Hey, we're going to go here.
Think
You're
you're
going to
above the law?
trust in those
Think
people
again.
to get those fights going. And I think Magic Gryphon is like, hey, I'm going to put these guys on my back right now. Like, I'm going to put them on my back when it comes to, we're going to fight here. We're going to disengage here. So it's more of, less of a damage, but more of a control. So he's still taking control, just in a different way. Um, and obviously, I talk a lot about their support.
If I
Their
play
team is
one
not
more
bad.
joke,
They are not like a bad team and they have a good support. They
30
are a
seconds
good
until
team. They
minions
have good
swarm.
ranks. They are 5-3 right now. A winning record is no joke in this league, especially. Um, so not. I mean, I know I've kind of just been disregarding a lot of them. Obviously, going into a 5-point stance here.
Yeah.
Just a little bit
And I mean,
protective.
I guess to talk a little bit more about the other players on
Hmm.
Trine, we mentioned the Volley Bear for Valpo in the jungle, and we see the Trundle on the
Yep.
side of Trine. So how do you think that jungle matchup is going to affect this game?
I think that we did pick the Volley Bear into the Trundle. The Trundle did have the first pick. So obviously Vector is planning something here, but Trundle is a solid pick right now, especially considering this comp that they have running. Uh, you have your front line with the Senna. You have your, I'm sorry. I'm so used to Senna Tom Kench, I'm seeing phantom characters. No, you have your front line with the Kled, with the Trundle, with the Tom Kench, and then you have your backline damage with the Syndra and Caitlyn, right? So I think that the pick was pretty solid, even if they had to pick it into a counter, right? I think that the pick works out well for them. And we're gonna say here, mid lane, biggest thing for Syndra right now winning this fight against the Sylas is just chip him. I mean, that's the biggest difference that you'll see between higher tier players and lower tier players. Every creep that Jakimbo has to walk up for, Syndra will auto him. And that's what you're supposed to do. That's how you start winning these fights, because you see that's already a fifth of health gone from Jakimbo. He's saving his E here, trying to get a lock on. But it's a good trade for him. Getting level 2 first, I mean, obviously the plan there was you're going to take a little bit of that damage that's kind of known. And also a little bit of a scrappy fight here. I mean, the W in on the Tom Kench that may have just been going in a little bit too far, but Caitlyn being able to sit back there. Level 2 jumping on red side for trying a little bit faster. And Steamroller actually going down with the first blood, just being caught out. Another stun from MH Kimbo. The zoning doing really, really well for trying. I mean, as we saw there, this top lane also getting a little bit scrappy. They're getting knocked out the Q there, but Trundle early in coming for a gank. And this may not be good for Dreadful. And there's the barrier, but the kill as well.
I mean, a really, really quick start here.
Hmm.
I mean, these two kills came in very fast for Trine.
Yep.
Obviously, a huge advantage. I mean, I feel like we kind of already got to start talking about, what is Valpo going to do to get back in this? Like,
Yep.
it's over a 1K gold lead at
Hmm.
3 minutes. Like,
First backs are always important, especially for that jungle, right? That Trundle getting that first kill is very important. So what I'm interested in right now, obviously we do see that Volibear is full clearing, right? So he's looking for a gold lead there. The teleport popping on Dreadful, just trying to take a little bit of his CS back. The knockback there, and the Volibear coming in, and that's going to be a kill going to Ordinal. Starting off trying to even that lead there. I was talking about that displacement that Maokai offers with his Q, being able to knock back, and we saw it right there. The W going into root, walking in front, and knocking backwards is great for ganks. I mean, the exhaust also popping out so that Caitlyn could not get back. Tom Kent's just being forced to back. Take a little bit of a lead there, but I mean, that was the answer that we were looking for in the jungle, is, hey, if you're going to pop top side, I'm going to take this full clear, and I'm going to go bot side. The only issue is that they killed it before Volibear could get the assist. He did not get the gold from that. So even though he was visiting and it was enough to give that bot lane at least a scare enough so that Caitlyn just accepted death there, it really just, I mean, it didn't help Volibear out at all.
and I
So,
mean, we're seeing up here on top side, this Kled pick that we mentioned, seemed a little weird to me, but it's looking like a very good pick for Trine right now.
I mean, we saw outside of the gank, obviously the gank is going to give the Kled the lead, right, in that first engage. But notice that all the health leads were winning for Dreadful until Kled hit 3. Kled hit 3, Kled hit 4, Kled starts comboing up together. It gets nasty, but Amateur Kimbo taking the use of Silas's self-heal and regen that he has. I mean, we saw, I didn't really get to talk about it because they did have a gank early, but Amateur Kimbo is willing to sit up in these creeps, sit up in that damage, because he knows that if he hits level 2 first, he's going to get his W and his E, right? Or really, he started with his Q and his E, right? He didn't even start with the health. But being
I
able to
mean,
get that engage is
and
huge.
talking a little bit more about Silas,
Hmm.
he's one of my favorite characters to watch just because
Yep.
of his ultimate. So
Yeah.
I feel like we have to talk about, who are you looking to steal on the side here?
So I mean, we talked about that stealing that Syndra ult isn't really that helpful to him because he doesn't receive the same passive stacks that she does late game, right? Trundle is usually fun, right? But this team actually isn't as good as it could be. It looks like we might have a gank here from Trundle going in mid. He is out of mana, so he's going to be forced to flash. Still engaging a little bit. The flash, or not flash, but the taunt coming in from Dreadful, taking a winning trade here, getting level up on Kled here. Forcing him to get off, but Kled hitting that shotgun blast, trying to even it out a little bit. Um, I mean, talking about Silas ult, right? Who is he going to steal? Obviously, the Caitlyn ult would be pretty good. Tom Kench isn't really that helpful. We have a dive in here from Tom Kench. The E still going off, giving him vision, so they at least knew it was coming back. Ordinal being able to back up in time.
Oh, and both our junglers are lurking
Oh,
around here too.
yeah, it looks like we might have a little bit of an attack here. Both of them knowing Magic Gryphon diving in, but not really gonna be much. The E's kind of zoning them off, but a huge Q from Caitlyn there. I mean, they do have the mana lead right now, making it a little bit hard for Ordinal to contest here. Yep, he's going to take that early back, but him backing right there, they may just have to give this drag once Red pushes in this wave. We're going to see, though, we do see Tom Kench, right? Obviously, the vision being given from that E, that control of the bushes that we were talking about, making sure they don't have angles, but that's a huge knockup from Magic Gryphon. Both of them super low, but Shen R coming in for Ordinal. The flash hitting in, but Vector's Q stopping out, not being able to stun him. A little bit of a fight here. It is a 4v3, but Trine is in a really good spot right now, getting that kill and not overstaying their welcome. I mean, the communication is key right now. Being dived over the wall, Ordinal taking a lot of shots here, kind of just being caught out. And a great Q coming from Caitlyn, their ADC, Polyps. Over the wall, nice vision, just enough low. I mean, he's been hitting those all game, and we were talking about, hey, it's nothing to be like talking over. There's another kill going to Valpo, and there's a double kill going to Vector. Right as I said, I mean, they weren't overstaying their welcome. They got the kill in the ADC. I guess they just felt a little bit too comfortable.
Oh, but
There's
here comes
just
the Kled.
Yep, Kled is now in the fight as well. But I mean, look at Dreadful shield that he had there. Um, I mean, I see what Trine was looking for, staying in a little bit longer there, but realize who you have low health on, right? Shen was the one with low health. You had low health on the Maokai as well, but Volibear's got full health. I mean, Volibear is the one that can frontline that for you, so you really can't engage there. Just take your wins and go. Take the 2-0 and go. But
Yeah, really good by Valpo to, get back into that fight, get that double kill
yep.
for Vector, and, get on a little more even footing, still slightly behind, but that's going to help out a lot. And, something we don't talk about much is the vision aspect of this game.
Yeah.
On the side of Trine, being able to have that vision for Caitlyn to get that opening pick of that fight.
Yeah.
Very good play in my opinion.
And I mean, talking about Trine, that was great. A little bit of an E, but the flash and pull in. Not sure if that flash was really worth it. I see what he was going for there. Maybe trying to land an R, but not really getting the opportunity to. A nice, like, because, I mean, he kind of just went for the insect there, right? For people that don't know, famous player, insect, plays Lee Sin, right? A very old click where he's able to ward behind, flash behind, and then kick people back into turrets, right? Kick people back into teams. Going for the insect there with the flash and the QW, right? Trying to get the stun, but just couldn't get the R off in time.
Jakimbo's really, kind of holding his own in this mid lane,
Mhm.
just playing it safe and not letting Syndra get too ahead. So
Yep. I think it is important that he did get those two assists roaming down because Syndra was getting a little bit of a CS lead there. But I mean, looking at mid lane at least, we do expect that Syndra to have more control of it, and she's doing a good job of taking control, getting those damages. A little bit of an engage in top here. I mean, that shield from Shen is pretty huge, so. And we're gonna get a taunt here as well. The ignite going in on Dreadful. Dreadful kind of out of just sums here. With there's Kled getting his Q back in, and there's gonna be a solo kill for Kled. I mean, we talked about Shen being out of abilities, right? And that's what makes Kled nasty in this fight. That's why they wanted to pick him up, is because that timer that he has that's reduced by the ability. That's why if you see a Kled person, right, or a Kled player just sitting in a fight, even when it looks like, okay, dude, like most of your health is gone, like why are you still here? The more abilities that he hits while he's off of his horse, the faster his horse charges up. So he knows that, and he's sitting in there. But that solo kill is going to be huge for Trine, because not only giving that lead to that Kled, but also allowing Trundle, who has just path top there, being ready to support, pick up that Rift Herald, and pick up that top tower, that first one. A little bit of an engage here, just the dash trying to get out.
And I mean, we know Dreadful. He's not gonna be deterred by that. He's still gonna go in. He's still gonna try and fight this Kled, but hopefully he plays it a little bit safer because with that Kled ability, it is kind of deceiving, right? It looks like you're winning the fight at first, and then all of a sudden, he's back in there, and then you're out of abilities. You can just turn it so quickly.
Literally. No, I mean, it's important to. That's why I liked watching these fights, honestly, because these are characters that are very scrappy. I mean, we could have just chosen infinite scaling bot lane. I mean, hell, just go with like the Senanasis and live your life, right? But I mean, we're going with a scrappy top, and no like weird scaling. This is a fun game to watch, honestly, and it's been played pretty well by both sides. But Brian is taking the advantage here. They have been playing very, very clean recently. So,
And I
I
mean,
mean,
one good thing on Valpo's side is, they do get the first dragon. They trade it for that Rift Herald that Trine took in top. So that's going to give them a little bit of a path to, getting the advantage in this game if they can pick up some more of those drags.
we are still looking at a 4 gold lead going for Brian, so that is huge going into the second dragon fight that may be coming up right here. But if I mean, we're looking at they're gonna try and get it back here. You have the Kled rotating to mid lane. You have the Syndra rotating to top, just to try and get out of that Silas's way. Stopped back here. Caitlyn E being able to get over the wall, get safe. It is gonna delay him a little bit, which does help Valpo out for setting up for this dragon here. We're gonna have to worry about really. We have the Syndra pathing top lane, just trying to get that scaling because now she's more of a scaling comp than she ever has. A little bit of an engage here. Kled trying to face check that bush, but we had Emma Chikimbo waiting there. The dash down, maybe a Q, but not gonna get much here as Kled is able to get away with the knockback on his new Q. I mean, the way that you play around Syndra now with the new patch of her passives, right? The more minions that you kill, the more people that you kill, over time you'll get shards, right? The kills that you get with abilities. Those shards will stack together, and the more stacks that you get, the more damage you do for your abilities. And now, like with 100 stacks, you get that R. So what you want to do with your team, and it looks like we have Trundle sitting in bush here, maybe trying to catch out this MF Jakimbo. MF pulling on that Trundle, just trying to get a little bit of a kill. Kled's overstaying is welcome because Vector was there on the counter gank. Emma Jakimbo getting the shield from Shen here. Shen being able to dash in. The taunt is huge. MF Jakimbo dashing back in to get that kill. Great play really from Dreadful there. Great counter gank waiting on that Vector, but kind of timing that R, especially to give enough shield for him to get out. And not only after just giving the shield from the R, but also being able to dash and taunt, getting kind of him saved there.
On bot lane too.
Yep. And here comes an R coming in, but the R from Magic Gryphon saving the huge shield that he gets after that is enough to really kill him, even through the exhaust. Maokai being able to flash here, just trying to dash that third stun.
Yep, Maokai being able to survive, but we're seeing the strength of that Trine bot lane that we focused on pregame. But on the side of Valpo, the MVP so far has to be Vector on this Valley Bear. He's doing very well to keep Valpo in the game.
He is doing well to keep Valpo in this game. It's going to be important now coming up on objectives because obviously we know that the bot lane is going to be tough, right? Top lane Kled is playing very, very well right now. And then mid lane, we are seeing Silas starting to get a lead, which is dangerous, right? But Syndra is getting those stacks, right? So she is getting just as much value that Silas is getting because Silas lacks a stacking passive. So it's really just going to be these objective fights here. It's like, all right, you have a jungler that is fed enough that he can stick in these fights. He can get those smites off, right, that you need. He's not going to die instantly, right? So can you sit on him? Can you kind of rely on him to do that job? And I think that Valpo can here. It's just, it's a lot left up to these very special fights. I mean,
Yeah.
we are,
And I mean, Syndra is kind of that sleeping giant, the only one in the game that's 0-0-0, but
yep.
she's building up and she's gonna be ready for
I
these
mean,
late game team fights.
I'm telling you right now, first back that she gets, she is going. There's the Ionian boots, right? We were looking for that right now. We may see like a trade to the Sork boots. We may see a sell in the trade very late game, but I mean, looking at it right now, we have the stopwatch going immediately for that Zanya's, and after that Zanya's, we may just see a Rabadon's. I am not like, a Rabadon's or Shadow Flame, one of those two, right? Something to give Magic Pen, something to give a lot of damage. So, like you said, just the Sleeping Giant. Really not trying to wake it right now for Valpo unless you can get someone with a big enough lead to counteract her.
Yep.
Um,
And I mean, seems like we're kind of grouping up here. This is probably going to be a very pivotal fight for both teams.
we did see the Tom Kench R maybe trying to save Ordinal in case there was ever a catch out. The pillar coming up on Vector. Vector throwing down the E, looking for maybe an R here. The R coming from Ordinal but getting stunned out. Maokai R coming in with tandem. Kled being able to get caught out, but Vector, or Trundle getting the kill on Maokai. It looks like Volibear will also go down to Trundle. Trundle kind of in their backline. Ordinal being able to pick up a kill there. MF Jakilbo in the front line. Kled being able to get back. The flash coming out from Dreadful, but Ordinal might be left here. And there's the kill with the Caitlyn R on that Shen. Great play there. And there's the team wipe for Brian. Really, really well played. I think Valpo just got split up a little bit around that brush. You saw that Maokai, one of their frontline tanks, got caught left. Rest of the team got caught right. Kled being able to target out with his R on that Ordinal, what we were talking about. Hey, let's dive this here. Being able to target out, knock back after hitting, which interrupted the Ordinal R, right? That damage that kept him from going in that choke point there. And
Yeah.
really not much to do after that point. It's kind
I
of
mean,
just like
it seemed like the Trine kind of caught Valpo off guard. Valpo, wasn't really ready for that fight, totally set up the way they wanted to be, and Trine just went in, took the aggression, and,
Yep.
got the advantage based on, the positioning and how they were set up. And now, this Caitlyn, 6-1, will be really, really scary.
Yeah. Caitlyn Fed is a very, very nasty thing because she can start outranging you, and when she does have more damage than you, she can just like 100 to 0 you before you can even get an auto attack range, right? It's not fun to play against Fed Caitlyn, and I mean, they're saying they gave him a really great lead here. But not only that, I mean, Polyps on Trine's side has been playing amazing. He's been hitting the Qs that he needed to. He's been dropping Rs. He's been playing behind his team, and his team has been giving him a really, really good place to play around. So it is interesting at least to see how kind of this dynamic is. And I mean, we're seeing there is one combo coming from Vector. I mean, that's like a sixth of his health. But on Vector, who has the Turbo Chem Tank, who has the Magic Resist, that's a little bit dangerous, right? I mean, with the 5 assists, we're gonna have to see really how Syndra stacks up in this game.
Yeah, and we see them kind of searching for vision here, trying to set up and figure out how to get back in this game. It is like a 5k gold lead, so it's not insurmountable, but it's still building up there for Trine. And I mean, we see Dreadful taking a bit of damage against this Kled. We know how that's gone earlier in this game. But I mean, for Valpo, you really have to focus on, getting these objectives. We're getting closer and closer to the Baron. We know that's probably the most powerful objective in the game. So if they're able to somehow steal that or snag that, that is always a huge turning point in these games.
I think a big thing too, like what I was looking at right there, that Syndra passive, right? Because I'm staring at it right now. We were talking about the Caitlyn, we were talking about objective fights. Objective fights are going to be a lot harder now. But Syndra getting 5 assists means that she had to have hit some abilities, and hitting abilities gives you splinters, right? Hitting those combos for each one that you hit gets you a splinter on someone. Obviously, it goes on a cooldown, so you can't just like spam people Qs and stack like a million splinters in 15 seconds, right? But that cooldown that you have, those 5 assists are going to be huge. Great route stopping that Magic Griffin from going, but the flash over the wall after the Maokai W forces him to kind of dive over the wall as well, waste that R, get it out. And that's pretty big for team fights. We're seeing Kled match Dreadful in the bot lane, but I mean, better watch out. There comes that new steed, and that's just gonna be tough. He may die here for it though, but nope, he
Oh,
gets knocked off. I mean, it isn't. It is very annoying. I mean, getting that Kled fight, remember that if you take damage that would take you under, Kled does take a reduced amount of damage to his actual red bar if he gets knocked off his steed, right? So that reduced enough damage, almost made it like non-existent
yep.
against that tower shot, which would have usually killed a normal
Yeah,
champion.
I mean, that time the fight was very, very close, but, you know, Dreadful still on the losing side.
Yep.
Now 0-4. I feel like this top lane matchup is something they're going to look to change in Game 2 of this series for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, Trine just looking very, very dominant right now, sitting in jungles. Valpo's gonna need a really, really good team fight right now to be able to get back in this fight. I mean, their KDs are not looking too bad. I mean, outside of maybe the Maokai and top lane having a little bit of a tough time. I mean, what can you do, right? Kled is a really good pick into Shen. We were talking about it though with those team fights. Trine has just been looking better on team fights. We had that early fight where Shen R did come in very handy and did win them that fight, but right now Kled is just looking super dominant, even if Shen is somewhat of a comfort pick into it.
Yep.
Um,
And I mean, it's always a little tough because Trine did have that counter pick top lane.
mhm.
We're able to say, we want this Kled into this Shen, and I mean, we can
Yep.
see why.
Yeah, no, it was one of the picks of that top laner that they were ready for, but I mean, you can only be so much ready. You can only be so ready for a counter pick. And it looks like Kled will face check another bush, but I mean, he does have his team right behind there, so they are just gonna run away. There goes Misfortune R, but there also goes Caitlyn R just to do off a little bit of damage. Kind of a smart idea there. The nuance of using that Caitlyn R right after you see that Misfortune R, timers. Now you know an exact timer or close to an exact timer of what it is, and we're gonna have a team fight here coming in on this dragon. Smite going in on that dragon going to Trundle's side, but Kled having to jump in and distract really, and that's going to be a kill for Ordinal. Caitlyn being able to finish kill there and maybe get 2 there, maybe get 3. There's Syndra with another kill. Jakimbo and Ordinal being forced to back up. The flash both coming out. The ghost as well, being able to get that kill. I mean, man. There's a pillar as well, forcing the flash out of him with Jakimbo being able to dash. And he might get under tower, but it looks like they're just going to push this wave and maybe dive him. They don't really have the minions for it though, so I don't see that happening unless they come back on this next wave. And here comes the dive. Emma Chikimbo being forced to just back again, hitting Everfrost, clearing up a little bit of space, but they are going to get a turret off this.
Yep. And Kimbo running for his life, able to escape with it, but not much more for Valpo. I mean, you got to think that that might have been their last chance, that was the fight that they had to win.
I think I agree with you on that one. I mean, not only did they lose that Hextech drag, but also just the fight in general. You saw Kled, valiant sacrifice, way to dive in, just be insane like the champion already is. Dive in, distract Valpo enough so that they couldn't get that smite off. But I mean, we're looking at a 9k gold lead right now. That's nothing to laugh at, especially considering that the gold lead right now is on that Caitlyn. Really, it's on everyone, let's be honest, but that Caitlyn being the most dangerous one out of this group, it is going to be a little bit hard for Valpo to come back. So
Yeah.
just
I mean, I've seen, 10k gold comebacks a few times in, Pro Series, but extremely rare.
yeah,
So,
this is not that pro series, sadly, but never lose hope. But I think it's important that it's not even just like this isn't a losing hope kind of situation. What I do right now for Valpo is, hey, we kind of got steamrolled first game, right? What are we looking for in this second game? This is the best thing about a 3-game series. You're able to come back, you know what to ban, you know what you can think of, right? So what was dangerous here? I mean, Obviously, we looked at the Caitlyn. The Caitlyn was a good counter pick into the Misfortune, even if MF is very strong right now. Caitlyn is not equally as strong, but if we're talking counter-wise, is strong. Um, so if we're just looking at bans here, that Caitlyn usually may be a good ban for Valpo. I think you have to keep those support bans. However, maybe like neglect one to the second phase, right? And open up maybe like a jungle pick or something like that. Because honestly, the jungle matchup was not bad here.
But I
It's
mean,
up.
of those first three bans for Valpo, the Yumi, the Seraphine, the Karma, as we see, Dreadful probably going to go down to this Kled
Yeah.
yet again. Um, but that Yumi, that Seraphine, that Karma, I mean, which one do you really want to give to Magic Gryphon? Because I'm not feeling great about him on any of those, you know?
I think the biggest thing that we give to Magic Gryphon, obviously, yeah, it's not going to be great about it, and we might see Kled with another kill here. Matters if MF Chikimbo can get out. I mean, it is dangerous, but MF may. Nope, there's the Kled kill. Kettle Whip just feeling like a beast right now. Obviously, probably gonna die here, but taking a 2-for-1 is pretty nasty because as you're gonna see, their team took Baron off that and is going to run this mid lane down, right? Kettle Whip kind of coming in clutch there for the top lane, but
Yeah, I mean, this is looking like it might be a pretty quick game here, probably under 30 minutes, I'd
they are
say, so.
probably going to end it right now, honestly. They're not going to wait for next drag. Maybe taking an inhibitor, but I mean, Dreadful is back, so that is going to force them off. I mean, if we're looking for gives, I think the strongest part right here was that obviously you're setting up your ADC, right? I don't think we can give Magic Gryphon something that he can set up multiple people at once. Because in these fights, he's proven valiant. Obviously, you're going to win those first lane fights. But in these team fights, he's proven just invaluable to his team, especially diving in, being able to force and bait certain people, right? I think you give him Yumi. As annoying as it is, and as annoying it will be to play into that ADC Yumi, as strong as Yumi is literally just giving their ADC, I think that you give bot lane because Yumi is going to win your guys lane, right? It's going to happen. I think you give the CS lead, you don't get caught out. You play safe early game against Yumi as much as Steamroller hates it, right? You play safe into that Yumi so you don't give him Seraphine or Karma or any damage. You ban out another like Tom Kench, you ban out something here, right? And that maybe not even Tom Kench, but you ban out like a Caitlyn, you ban out something else in that first wave.
I mean, would you consider banning out the Kled based on, you know, how powerful he's been in these solo fights?
I think that the Kled is very nasty right now, right? And not to, I am not like disrespecting this dude, don't get it twisted, but there is going to be an outsmite right there, and Vector using the R of the walls forcing him to backflash. Just trying to steal it, any last hope, but I mean, Kled with the R here, he's going to bounce in, and there's the bounce in. Steamroller probably going to get caught out here. The WE trying to save himself. There's a dash in from Dreadful, but there's so many roots and shots coming in. Polyps may get caught out here. A lot of damage going on, and Polyps goes down to Misfortune. That is a 1k gold shutdown going to Misfortune. Weird enough fight. Somewhat going in Valpo's favor, but I mean, you have to consider why it did. It's because Syndra is taking top inhibitor. It was a 4v5 that they were engaging on. That is a huge shutdown going to Misfortune, though, giving her... She already has that Kraken and LDR, and she has Swifties already, so, I mean, building that pickaxe. Might see a little bit of a power spike here, giving her something, anything, really, to do damage, but...
I mean, like you said, a little bit of shred of hope, but, I mean, they're going to have to pick up some of these objectives if they actually want a chance at winning, you know? There's a whole lot more to go
there
before
is
they're
still,
back in this.
yeah,
So.
that 10k lead, even with the 1k going over to Valpo's side, it still is a 10k gold lead. I mean...
Wow, 9.5.
9.5, you're right. It has moved up a little bit, but, I mean... Yeah, and not like I was saying before that fight, not to disrespect this Kled pick because, or not to disrespect the player really in general because he has been playing great this game. I just think that you have to kind of rely on Dreadful to have a better game. That's about it because there's ways to mitigate what happened here, right? And bad games happen all the time, right? Um, almost had a slip there, right? But they happen all the time. So having these kind of things, it doesn't like I'm not like questioning Dreadful, like, oh, can he really play Shen? Can he really do this? I'm sure that he can. It's just games like this happen. So I don't think that you ban the Kled out because there are dangerous picks in this bot lane. I mean, as we saw that Kled was 1v2ing on that bot side, but I feel like it's because Valpo funneled. I mean, right? They were gonna funnel into it, and Kled played it as well as he could. When you play it as well as you could, and Valpo misplays by funneling these kind of attacks, you're gonna get a 1v2 situation. And I mean, good on him for taking advantage of that. But
And I mean, I feel pretty good about our chances in the second game here because, that's one of Valpo's strengths is, being able to adjust, being able to change that draft, figure out what went wrong. And,
mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, we've already had a couple of reverse sweeps in our favor this season, so definitely possible.
I mean, talking about Phantom Blade, I mean, Coach Blade, right? Obviously, he is the brains behind a lot of these comps that do work. I mean, and these kind of comps, sometimes he lets them go wild, but we're gonna just have to see what happens next game. As we have a little bit of an engage here, Kettle Whip getting caught out and the kill going to Shen there as well. Ordinal R going down, but Forza in the back not going to be able to end anything here. Um, I do want to, if we can click on that Syndra really quick here, I do want to get a little bit of a monitoring going on, just to kind of check out what's going on here.
Yeah, 1 second. Do you know how to feature the Syndra here?
Yeah, if you go to a character on the screen, like on the map, right? Being able to click on her, or you have to like, yeah, physically click on her. There we go. Um, yep, she's at 98 stacks. Two more abilities hit on cooldown, and she will have an execute. That's not fun for Valpo because it's already been hard enough of a game. I was already kind of assuming that she had all of her abilities, but guess not. Guess like she's gonna be stacking a little bit harder here. They are just gonna immediately start Baron. I don't see Valpo contesting this. Maybe a steal. Magic Gryphon kind of just sitting here getting the stun in on the Vector. And that is a ton of damage coming from Syndra. That was a burst of 50, and if I'm not mistaken, that may give her 99. If we could get a click here really quick.
Uh,
There she is. Yep, there's 105 stacks. She has the execute now. That's not fun.
yep,
There's the emote coming down. They're just gonna run it down mid. I mean,
yep. They're just gonna push it in, and I
that's
mean,
what you're doing.
Valpo has been staving off the inevitable for almost 10 minutes at
Yeah.
this point. So,
I mean, Valpo did have a couple of misplays there. Not the best showing from a lot of people, but I mean, if we're looking, the last final like hold here, but if we're just talking about like, and we might see, yep, and there's just almost 100 to 0 there. Looking for just Syndra being able to throw this R in maybe, just have a little bit of fun, but she might not even need to. Who even needs to look for it at this point because Nexus is already gone. Rough game for Valpo, but really well played by Blind, especially taking their comp into this match. But I mean, hell, that's game one, right? There is 3 games in a series for a reason. So like we talked about, interested to see how Valpo changes up their bans, how they change up kind of their just overall look going into this game, how they change their objectives, maybe what they fight for, who they fight for. Damage. Damage charts are going off well. I mean, we saw that Kled and that Caitlyn being the most dangerous ones in that game.
and I mean, actually a fair amount of damage here from Ordinal, despite the losing effort. So that's
Yep.
interesting to see.
No, yeah. I mean, seeing that 24k on Ordinal matching that Caitlyn is pretty nice. I mean, there's not much you can do at this point. Just fighting in. So moving into this next game, looking for a couple of bans, looking for a couple of change-ups at least for Valpo, and I think that Valpo has a good chance of turning this around game two. I wouldn't, I'm a very critical caster, if you haven't
Yes.
noticed already, right? I like to talk down on some people, right? That's just the way it is. I call it how I see it, right?
Yeah.
But as much as I call it how I see it, that I am honest with my picks, and I do say that I think Valpo is looking good for this game too, because they know now who's leading these fronts, who is actually attacking these people. So I do feel good about it. But we are going to take a short break here, until we hop into game two draft, and we will see you guys then. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're just getting ready for the round two, game two of this Trine versus Valpo esports series. Looking into draft two, I mean, Valpo is ready. We were talking about it a little bit on the past game, um, kind of trading these bans here, right? Obviously, I don't think Valpo should keep the same bans that they had. It works for game one, right? Obviously, you're gonna throw stuff against the wall, see what sticks.
Yep.
But with this next game, I think that you do lessen up one of the support bans because as much as he was important that game, notice that they did elect to draft him like second or third. there is still a chance to outpick, right? So, well, I mean, honestly, it's I'm a little bit blanking, honestly, about
Yeah.
I've said honestly like four times
No,
recently.
no,
Sorry
you're
about that.
good. I
But
mean, I think it's going to be really interesting, and it looks like we're getting into draft here.
yep. And there's the first ban Yumi. I mean, not usually what I would think of, but it's not wrong either. You know what I'm saying? Right? Like
Yeah, I
coach
mean, at this point, it's going to be a support, right?
hmm And there's the Karma ban, so it looks like they may be giving the Seraphine ban. Unless they're just waiting, switching it up a little bit, but
Yep, and I mean they're taking their time on this
and
one, and
there's the
okay.
Seraphine. Okay. So,
Honestly, I'm not that mad about it
hmm
because, like I said, I think all three of these champions are very, very strong, and like it seems so tough, giving him one of these picks that is absolutely game changing.
yep. And I think that I mean, while I would have preferred that, right? Obviously, they have a plan. They have a strategy. I'm not gonna be like, because on paper you can talk about how many like this pick would be great here, this pick would be great here, but
And we're kind of
trying,
switching picks here. It's going to be the Syndra picked by
yeah.
Valpo.
We have the Syndra pick from Valpo and then the Maokai pick from Trine. I I'm doubting that it will be Maokai support, right? I'm thinking Maokai jungle. Um, especially going in, we did have a jungle swap for Valpo. We have Zaxter in instead of Vector. Um,
And I mean, this J4 is a really good pick for Zaxter.
mhm,
I'd say it's probably his best pick. We've
yep.
seen him pull it out a ton during league play,
Mhm.
so it feels very comfortable, very good to have that there.
And I think his second best pick, Lilia, was banned out, right? Obviously, Brian being smart, changing up their bans a little bit, making sure that they do coordinate to this new team. But yeah, like you said, that Jarvan 4 probably is his best pick that he has, and it
And I
makes me
mean,
feel good. I mean,
and now
oh,
we're seeing a Kale pick
hey,
come out of
okay.
Valpo,
I think I'm getting the idea now what Valpo was going for. They're okay with changing the bans,
and it is not a Kale
and
pick.
it's not. It's Tom Kench. Okay. We are trading picks here. Apparently. Okay. What I was gonna say was that we were going for a hyperscale, right?
Yes.
So with the Syndra, with the Kale, um, we were just going to go out like hyperscale, but with Tom Kench, just taking a little bit of that scaling away, or not scaling, but taking a little bit of that engage away from him.
Yep. And I
Um,
mean, to go back to our first pick of Syndra here, we
mhm,
saw how strong it was for Trine on, the other side. And, we've seen Jakimbo play it before to great success. So
yep,
I'm really liking this draft so far.
that's great. No, I think it is great, honestly, because
Oh, and
oh,
there's that Kled band
there's
I
the Kled
mentioned.
ban. Yep. All right. No, you've been spot on with these couple of picks. Honestly, I should just defer away.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, it helps watching all these Worlds games.
yeah, true, true. No, I need to catch back up on that. But I mean, you've been on the money recently because trying with the MF ban as well. They did first pick Caitlyn, which I mean, banning MF you can. It's not even the worst thing in the world because
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable because, like we pointed out last game, it was a lot of damage still from Ornadal, and they
yeah,
clearly know that, if the game goes differently, if other things play out, that can be a lot of power for Valpo.
yep. And there's the frontline kind of support tank that we were looking for from Trine. I mean, with Caitlyn, always a solid pick to just go frontline, but it looks like we're going to be giving the last pick maybe to ADC.
And, since this Kale is actually a Tom Kench, we're locking in our
We
classic
do have
combo.
yep, the son of Tom Kench. I mean, going back comfort, uh, there's so many ways that Valpo can play this. I feel very comfortable with this pick. I'm very good with it. And the Olaf coming out top lane as well. I like that pick for Dreadful. I like it. I've seen Olaf. I've seen Dreadful's Olaf. It is very nice. Um, especially it fits his playstyle very well. I mean, we saw last game. He likes to get into fights early. He likes to go punch people, right? He likes to walk up in lane. He does not care. He will fight you, right? And that works really, really well with Olaf, especially that level one because level one Olaf is a menace. He's nasty. Level one Gnar also I mean, getting that rage meter, being able to turn, that's pretty big too. So I can kind of see a little bit of another rough spot for Dreadful as he is getting counterpicked again.
Yep.
But
And I mean, I heard him talking a little bit in the pregame. This Gnar is one of Trine's top laners, most picked champions, so
mhm,
going to be a very interesting matchup there. You
I
also
agree.
have to wonder, a little bit about how Dreadful's mentality is going into this. If he's feeling a little shaken up, tilted, off kilter,
Mhm.
from having such a bad performance in game one, do you think he can, keep his head up and go into this matchup feeling good?
I think that I mean we talk about mental boom a lot, right? Mental boom is the funny joke, right? You lose one game, you go mental boom, you lose five more, right? But I think one of the strengths of this Valpo Esports group, especially like the team that we have out right now, it's very hard to tilt them unless they get on a string, right? Which happens to everyone. But game one, they do not let that kind of stuff tilt them, and that's why I mean I feel confident about these guys. I'm ready to see them rock this game because going into it they are able to fight back, right? We've seen reverse sweeps before. We've switched up a comp. We have a clear idea of what we're going for our lanes, right? For top, we're looking for a little bit more of a rewarding engage. For jungle, we're having a little bit more of a support role, something that gives Zaxter his comfort pick, right? In that Jarvan 4. For that mid, for that Syndra, I mean, we've seen the Jakimbo Syndra a lot, and now that it's newly buffed, I mean, he was playing it before the buff. Now that it's newly buffed, it's even better. And then that Senatom Kench, something that our bot lane has not lost on. Um,
Yeah, and I mean, taking a look at our bans too, I just noticed that we also banned out the Trundle. So
yep.
yet another pick of Trine from last game that we didn't like, we're getting rid of. I mean, I feel like that did have a lot of impact for Trine last game.
Oh yeah. No, their Trundle was very active. Their jungler was just a very active person, especially because in those first couple of fights, I mean, Vector was doing a really good job at keeping up with him, right? But as those team fights went on, as they started to get leads, it's harder to stick up as a jungle. But Trundle made sure that he kept using that lead that he was given, right? Kept going. Um, so I don't like our junglers. Both sides played well. I think that they did path around really well. Um, there was just a couple of like missteps that were made that led them that first game. But I mean, fresh start, fresh draft, fresh player. I
Yep.
mean, they're
And I
ready to
mean,
go.
one thing that really helped Trine in that first game was, getting that early lead bot lane. We saw the kill coming in very early at like 2 minutes.
Hmm.
Um, And on Valpo's side, with the comfort combo, the classic Tom Kench Seta, I feel a lot better about them playing safe and, also having that Tom Kench R, being able to save their ADC and,
Hmm.
prevent those kills from trying coming in.
I mean, we saw it last game too with Trine doing that same thing. I mean, they used that Tom Kench R being able to pull people back. Um, so it's interesting how Valvo Esports is kind of just like flipping the script, like, hey, that's ours now. Like, hey, we can do that too. Like, promise, promise. Um, so kind of like seeing that all together makes me giggle a little bit. But that undefeated Senna Tom Kench bot lane, we might see a little bit of a contest here, but I have a lot of faith in Valpo Esports right now. A lot of confidence in this team coming in that they got the picks that they wanted, they got the lineup that they wanted. Um, and we're just gonna have to see how they rock, right?
Yeah, and, we touched on the Syndra on our side, but, looking on the other side, what's that matchup like going into the victor of Trine?
So the Victor pick is a good pick in the Syndra, right? With Syndra and Victor, I don't think there is like a winning side to it so much because the whole point of Syndra is that her range is crazy, right? With your W combined with your Q, right? The stun that you have and then the walk up with the E is insane. But Victor is able to poke harder, I feel like. Victor is definitely more reliable of a poke because especially in that early game, I will give you 20 bucks if you can dodge a point blank E. Like I will actually give you money if you can dodge an E. I'm not saying the victor misses. Like I'm saying it's right on you. You have to like point second react. It is one of the hardest abilities in the game to dodge, especially in that early. So the reliable poke is more on Victor's side.
All right, everyone in chat, hop in a custom game. See
Yeah,
if you can do
exactly.
it.
If you can send me a VOD at it's like Dikembe1417, right? If you want to send me that on Discord, I do not care. I will send you $20 like Venmo. I will actually do that if you can dodge that a serious one and I can prove that the dude just didn't miss. But I'm very staunch behind these things, but there's a reason for it, right? As a Victor player myself, um, it's very, very hard. It's a fun character to play because you feel like you have control. So it's a little bit harder to hit those Syndra cues. But I mean, later game, this Victor is going to go that first strike because he does lack outside of his augments, right? He does lack more of a hardcore scale, while Syndra does have that hardcore scale. So I feel like this matchup will lean to Victor's side in the early game, but going into that late game, um, Syndra is going to have it. The issue is that we'll try and take the lead before that early game can happen. Obviously, that's what you want to do, but I don't think with this lineup that Valpo Esports has that that's more of like a viable option. I think that Valpo can contest this a lot harder and take this lead early, especially if that Gnar wants to fight Olaf. Um, the Gnar is a comfort pick, like they said. They love picking that Gnar for Kettle Whip. Excuse me, but and it is a good pick into Olaf, right? Obviously, with the transformation giving a little bit more health, stopping that Olaf from bursting you or from like teetering you down.
Yeah, I mean, gameplay wise, you mentioned that, we might want to be a little bit more aggressive. Do you think that's what this comp wants to do? Are they going to be looking for those early ganks, early kills, trying to build that lead?
Mm. I think that with League of Legends, just in general, it's a real seesaw game, right? It's a balancing act. So you obviously in a beautiful world, you want your jungle to gank every lane and win every lane and you win every lane and you win, right? Um with realistic League of Legends games, you want to play a very, very delicate balancing act. And the way that Coach Blade has drafted this game here is a very delicate balancing act, right? You want to be able to match your mid lane, right? There's your middle point of the seesaw. You want to give your bot lane with that Senatom Kent. You want to give a little bit, give it time to scale, right? So you're not going to win that. So the seesaw's tilting down a little bit here, right? But then you have that very strong early game Olaf and that very aggressive Jarvan to tilt it back up on that top side, right? And you're evening out these lanes, especially going into a different comp, right? Because the Gnar Olaf are going to fight a lot, right? And the Gnar, a lot of his team fights are going to be based on timing, right? You want to time when your meter's up. You want to time for these kind of things, right? So you're going to have that kind of balance come back around that Olaf fight, kind of give the advantage that side while you give the advantage to the Caitlyn Nautilus on the bot side. Because quite frankly, 99% of the time, if you're facing a Nautilus in your bot lane, you're going to lose that bot lane early game. Nautilus is too strong of a champ as an aggressive player. So, as much as I talk about being aggressive, right, I think that you can't do that for this bot side. I think that you have to play a little bit passively for the bot side. Let your top and jungle play that aggressive game that you want to play. Because it's going to pay out in the end. I mean, if you don't you can lose a little bit of CS to that Caitlyn, right? Like we're talking like 50 gold, right? Obviously that's a potion, whatever. If you lose that 50 gold to that Caitlyn, that team fight is going to mean so much more for your aggressive top side and for your scaling mid because you offer a lot more rather than giving that seesaw tilt to go right back on that side towards blind or towards Trine. So,
And we talked about it. Their lineup's the same, but we did make one switch. Zaxter coming
yep.
in for Vector. Just stylistically, how do you think their different approach to the jungle is gonna change up Valpo in this game?
So I think that with the kind of different approach to jungle, we saw that Vector likes to full clear and then go bot side, right? It's what he practices, it's what he does. Um, Zaxter, we don't see him full clear much. We see him run really fast. He loves to be in lanes, especially that mid lane. I do see, especially with Victor not having much getaway option outside of his flash, maybe, and we'll see what other summoner he takes. I'm expecting the teleport, but we may see a barrier. There's the teleport. Um, Jarvan will sit in that mid lane, right? I think if I can guess it here, using my psychic ball of wisdom, I'm seeing Jarvan path around a little bit, clear a couple of camps, skip Krugs, jump mid, right? That's what I'm seeing right now for the knockup. And even if he can't hit mid, he will path mid to bot, right? Just to give a little bit of pressure off, because obviously the aggressiveness, it's in a perfect world, you tell your bot lane, hey, never engage these guys. Hey, never fight these guys. Just take the CS, right? But that's too much, right? You're never going to have that perfectly, because Blind is not an AI player, right? They're real players going on here. I have a little bit of game pause, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. But I mean, they are players in themselves, and they played really well last game, so you're going to expect them to find angles to attack you. So having your jungle at least have a presence around that area will help out enough for them to take that scaling bot game that they want to, and that they've won on countless times. Um, we are going to take a little bit of a break here as...
Nope. It
Oh,
actually looks like
yep.
we're.
Looks like they are ready for it. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Quick fix. Hopefully, getting back in the next couple of seconds, as it looks like both teams are ready here. So,
Just
not
a...
not sure fully what the holdup is, but uh, you know, you're talking about the runes, I guess. I
Mhm.
don't think we saw their Victor taking that first strike that you were talking
Oh,
about.
yep, he is taking Airy. Emma Kimbo taking the first strike, obviously. But Airy on Victor, you know how I was talking about that Victor wins that early game poke? Airy will help that. What Airy does, for the people that are unfamiliar, that when you land a damaging ability or attack, Airy does land on your enemy, right? With Airy landing on that enemy, it looks like we have a little bit of a spectator freeze here. This usually happens after pauses. League of Legends client really doesn't like people pausing the game. But might have an early game invade here, which makes sense on the Jarvan. Jarvan is not strong. And you have a Nautilus leading you. Steamroller 14, easy to point that out though. Letting them know they are going to back off a little bit. They do have vision on that red, and it's going to force them back. Failed invade, but
Yep, good job on Valpo. Getting the vision, making sure that Trine can't get
yep.
anything cheeky early on here.
But talking about Airy, whenever you land a damaging ability, Airy lands on the enemy that you damage, and it will cause increased damage or scorch, right? Obviously, what I'm expecting here is that he's running sorcery runes, which means that he can pick Airy with Scorch, and Scorch does like burn damage for abilities you hit, right? Airy will proc extra damage per each Scorch tick. So that does a ton of early game damage in comparison to what you would normally do. So like I was talking about earlier, with this Victor picking, hey, I know I'm going to have the more reliable poke early game, let's make this Syndra game miserable, right? Let's make this early game miserable for him, and that's what he's going for here. Um, if you had the Airy, what I'm expecting is we do see an E start, but there's another pause. Um, might have... Oh,
And it looks like it's the same issue, still messing up Zactister and his controls for the game.
hmm
So hopefully he gets those fixed, because
I mean,
if you don't have the key binds, you can't really do anything in the
yep.
game. You know.
I mean, like, I've dealt with it so many times as well. Even, like, especially talking about the esports lab that we're in physically. There's many keyboards that you switch around. There's many, computers that you go to, right? Um, kind of annoying that League of Legends does not actually save your files. It will literally just wipe your stuff for no reason. We are getting back into the game here. Like our bot lane said, there's the engage here that we were expecting, but kind of a great like lineup for Ordinal. What you're looking for with that Senna Q, especially spectator freeze here. Well, it'll be right back to it in a second here.
Yep.
We should expect.
We love League of Legends.
Yeah, we love Riot Games. I mean, as our bot laner said, small indie company, by the way. Definitely not a multi-million-dollar company that makes like this game come out yearly. But don't worry, their new skin line will have a ton of textures, so we're good.
Yes.
But
And we're back.
exactly, we're right back to it. I mean, we're gonna see. Just talking about a little bit of positioning here. You notice how Ordinal is placing himself behind this Tahm Kench. Even with this flash, and you're going to see right here, it's because the Q heals teammates and damages. So what you want to do is play kind of this lineup game around where you can hit that Q heal your teammate and do damage, and that's what's gonna win you trades. But the flash on Magic Dryfen coming out early, he did take Hex Flash, so it is a rune that you have where when you use Flash, you do have a replacement for your flash that allows you to channel for, I think it's 2 seconds, and then you flash and it goes on a 15-second cooldown. So he still does have a flash technically. It's just going to be used in different ways. And we're seeing, I mean, Syndra did get the level 2 early in mid game. He threw the QW, hit all of it, landed it. Victor threw 1E and did about the same amount of damage. So that area coming down, huge root and knockup coming down. The exhaust coming on Polyps, and we have first blood going to Tom Kench. But the gank from Maokai going in, Ordinal being forced to flash back, but Steamroller being low here, maybe just trying to sit it, trying to get this kill here. And there's the kill for Ordinal. A little bit worrying though, level 3 on level 2 Ordinal. Trying to get him under tower, rooted under tower, and there's going to be a trade, a 3-for-2 for bot lane on Valpo's side. Really, really great engage right there.
Wow.
Really insanely well played from Valpo. Not only just in a mechanic side of that, but also knowing when to stick in, right? Knowing when to stay there, because you saw Ordinal or Tom Kench's dive was back up, but he said no, like, I'm sitting for the Nautilus, I'm sitting right there being ready for it. That led Ordinal to get that kill, and the amazing route that he landed as well, landing that under tower, gave them that early lead. Now we have a 1k gold lead coming to that early game, which granted is not much, but it's enough to really, like, you know, open up the game here.
Yeah. I mean, a much better start from Valpo overall.
Mhm.
Really good play by Ordinal to get that kill on that Maokai. Like you said, at a disadvantage from the start. They win the 2v3, literally a man down. And, you know, last game, we had 2 kills at this point. Now we've got 5. So these teams love to fight early, and this time the fight goes in favor of Valpo instead of Trine.
And I mean, we're seeing the comfort of that Senna Tom Kench that they were having earlier really shine here. I think it's looking good in this early game. Just a great engage overall. Like, I talked about the Nautilus Caitlyn winning those kind of engages, but I mean, you can't really play that much better than they did.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, Valpo has a ton of experience on this combination. Oh, a little bit of fight in
And there's a root here, the Victor coming in, but Zaxter was waiting in the bush as well, getting stunned by the Victor W, but just giving enough time to get out. I mean, that is the one downside of that fight, is if we're talking about gold distribution, right? Obviously that is giving our bot lane a little bit of a lead, so they are going to be able to pressure, which is great. But that jungle does now have 2 kills, right? That Maokai does have 2 kills. And you don't think of Maokai as a hyper carry, obviously, and he's not. But he does become way, way more useful to his team the more health that he has. Getting that Bomby Sunder early is perfect for times like that where